Hello and welcome to this edition of Diaspora Central Spotlight. I am Gil Ingles, and with me in the studio today, ladies and gentlemen, every community has pillars, and some of those pillars are builders. And these builders are strong because they not only carry the weight of those that lean up against them, but also maintain what is to be maintained. Please welcome Mr. Rob Slater and Miss Kimberlene.
Yes.
Welcome to Diaspora Central.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, both of you have been here before.
Yes. Yes.
Both of you have been here before. So today we actually having a lighter conversation because we know that you guys are doing things in the community. You guys are doing things that the community needs. You guys actually have a pulse of the community, which is even more necessary.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, because until we know what's going on, we can't fix it.
Exactly.
Indeed.
I'm glad you said pulse
Mhm.
because that means that the community is still alive.
Yes.
When, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
some that are here and even gone before
Right.
us have written the community off as dead,
Mm-hmm.
having nothing to offer.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said pulse because I believe that the community is alive and well.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how low you are in the community,
Mm-hmm.
you still have something to offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to add to that, I attribute that being alive to a lot of these organizations and 501 C3s that's out there coming out of pocket and the resources to the community because our government has felt short in a lot of ways. So big shout out to all the boots on the ground that's doing the work right now.
There you go. Non-profits.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And a lot of times that even at times gets kind of lost, right, in the translation. And I say lost in the translation. Why? Because, and you guys excuse me, I just said porque because I went to Lisbon. I spoke Portuguese for a little bit of time, and now it's like these Portuguese words just sneak in as I'm having a conversation. So lost in the translation. Why? Why? Because when they sometimes ask for help, we tend to kind of even try to hold back because we don't understand what that work or what that help is really going towards. So both of you guys, I mean, are politically, community, seriously involved. Yeah. It isn't like you guys talk that stuff. No, you guys live that stuff.
Absolutely.
On the daily, on Saturday, on Sunday, during the day, in the evening, 24/7. This is what you guys do. Live, advocate, live, work the community.
Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I am full-time. I have been what others call full-time in their minds for 10 years.
Yeah.
But I've been full-time even when I had a full-time job
Right.
and even when I was full-time raising my children because my children are the community. Mr. Slater last year brought an issue to me that was happened in the schools with a young man. He was a young boy, about 8 years old. And I told him my issue with how that situation was being handled is that 10 years from now, that young man will be coming to a neighborhood near us. So if we don't properly resolve it and stop coddling or using these catchwords to ignite a response to connect with us as individuals instead of really looking out for the community in the years to come, if we don't have the foresight to handle something now because of how it's going to impact that young man and the community years later, what are we doing?
Right.
What are we doing?
Yeah. Indeed.
So,
There is technology right now because in today's world, it's like they do ring. They do ring.
Right.
Now, Rob, of course, a few years ago, you decided to devote your life to public service,
Yes.
and you have been running lately, attempting to get yourself there in a honeypot, per se.
Okay.
what the bees are, what the real
Right.
working
Okay.
bees are,
Got you. Got you. I
right?
like
Yeah,
that word, man. Okay,
yes,
got you.
okay. So and yeah, it kind of sounds different, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
does.
but you know what I meant. I really meant
Yeah.
where the bees are, where the honey is actually made, where the work is actually
Yes.
done, where the influence makes a difference, right?
Absolutely.
And I say really not just the influence in that room, but also the power of influence that you give to that community where you're from.
Yes, sir.
Because now people can look and see the resemblance of something
Yes,
that
sir.
they know, that they understand, of someone that they have seen go from the outside into the inside
Yes.
and advocating for them.
Yes.
Yeah. How difficult and how challenging has been that?
It's extremely challenging, and I want to use that analogy that you put forth with the honey pot and the bees.
Right.
The problem is that community is not getting the honey, right? We're eating synthetic syrup or man-made things, and the honey is being preserved and only given out to a few. And sometimes you have certain queens or kingdoms within the pot that like to keep it amongst themselves, but it's not produced for its original intent. Coming from the outside in, and going back to your original question, as far as, you know, does the money go where it should be? That's the number one thing that we are running on, is the appropriations. And I want to be clear to everyone in this district and other districts, there have been billions that have come in, but the appropriation have been mismanaged, or the money doesn't necessarily trickle down to where it should go, or if it's effective. And so we have a lot of wasteful spending, programs that are really effective or have the impact that it should. And so there's a limit to politics where leadership kicks in. And that's what we need to bring back to the forefront. In the past, we've had leaders, you know, your Martins, your Malcolms. We don't have those these days. We have political figures. That is our leadership. So we need to get back to our core value structure and bring that leadership back. So when politics stop, leadership can kick in by having that pulse in the community, as you say. So on this candidacy for District 18, we've actually announced this morning that on day one, we will put in place a federal community advisory board. And that board consists of 21 individuals elected by the people.
Okay.
It will be diverse. It would be diverse in faith, in gender, and beliefs.
Okay.
And the point of that is that this seat, whoever holds it, should report to that board. If there's a vote in Washington, D.C., you need to bring the information back to the board and let them go back to the constituency to get that feedback. Then come back, let that board vote. And wherever that board lands, that should be your vote that you're casting in Washington, D.C.
Right.
So it gets that buy-in and that time for information to be out so people know what you're voting on and what you're speaking to. Within that board, we'll have subcommittees, just like a board in business. A committee that's over the finance. So when those appropriations, those grants come, the community will be a part of seeing where those funds go. So we want to be trackable, traceable, and transparent in the funds that comes to this district moving forward.
Indeed. Now that's a major difference, of course, because very few candidates do have that type of a system in which their constituents can actually get in touch with someone that is directly connected to their representative, or come directly to the representative through a transparency process that allows them to see exactly what is going on. Are you finding any pushback from the, let's call, I guess, the existing system, or the other candidates out the establishment?
Of course,
for
they
lack of
don't
better
want
words?
it. Why would they want it? If they want it, they would have done something about it. But it's not about them. We don't see them. It's what the community needs at this point. So we're not negotiating. We're not taking no for an answer. Our job is to create a system that works for the people. We the people is the first words, a part of this Constitution. And the people is not necessarily those that is elected, but those that is represented. And so we want to redo the whole process and meaning of what representation is. So as far as the pushback, yes, we have faced challenges. We have faced pushback because anything that's new and innovative, it's hard to accept. We've become complacent. We've become comfortable. So therefore, we're voting for the same thing. We're trained and conditioned. And so, you know, you can't pour new wine into old wineskin. So anything that's transformative, usually it takes time, but we've put in the work. We have the bona fides. We have a plan, not just ideas, and we're going to see it all the way through.
Indeed. Now, you redefined something here that I kind of did like, and which was the difference between a political figure and a leader.
Yes.
Right. Today, and Kimberlene, that would be for you, a question for you. For someone who has actually lived through busing, and today looks at this city of course, we can see the diversity that does exist, can't be denied, right? One of the most diverse cities in the entire world. But of course, there are still things that tend to hang on and plague certain communities of color.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And is it lack of leadership? Is it too many political figures? What exactly is going on?
So all those things can be true at the same time. First and foremost, people do not like change. And change is not definitive on condition.
Yeah.
Even, I'm a homeless, houseless advocate, which is how I have so many resources, because when you reach to the bottom, everything in between is affected, right? And so people don't like change. I have some people who are homeless who don't want the responsibility of being responsible for housing, because other responsibilities, bills, all of those things come with it. So people don't like change.
Yeah.
Of any kind, even if it's for the good, because of what you have to transform to be able to hold change, right?
Yeah.
So what Mr. Slater is saying is true. First and foremost. Second of all, you've eliminated the people that don't like change. So now you have the chosen. Bible says many are called, few are chosen, and then out of the chosen there's a remnant. So what you see is a remnant who's going to fight for change. The remnant are the trailblazers. You go first, and if you don't get killed, then we might come with you.
Right.
And then out of the ones that we might come with you, only few of them come, because they can get enticed by other things. Take the Target blackout. You have the huge movement, but you have segments of Black Baptist ministers that took a payout because they're starving.
Right.
The bigger movement, I like what the candidate said about the boards and things, because the bigger issue with that example is you have this movement, but you're not helping those who are starving over here, who can't wait for the effects of the movement to trickle down to the community. So you don't have layers where you have this wealth that you're leading the movement. You're the Martin.
Yeah.
But Martin made sure the community was fed. The community came together on their level for the Montgomery Buscot, and they provided rides. We have gotten selfish.
Yeah.
So we want to change the system, but we don't want to provide the rides. We don't want to cook a bigger pot of food to feed those who are starving until the outcome of the bigger movement is reached. There are layers to this.
Right.
So it can't, and there's one congressional person, and it's millions of us reaching. So I believe that I won't just put the blame on ineffective leadership. I think that for the last 20 years, leadership has been overwhelmed, and they can't respond to all the needs of the community. And then when they do, the community, I watched it happen, in my opinion, to the late, great Sheila Jackson Lee, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Her heart was broken by those who jumped ship for $1. And left her dry when she fought hard for change. Right. People that she broke bread with, people that she took a bullet for publicly while covering them privately. You understand?
Yeah.
And that is the conundrum that leadership faces. They don't get to publicly address their critics with facts that you didn't show up to the table. I know of a nonprofit who got money as a credence to his accountability process, a nonprofit that got money, and when they did not fulfill, they shut down.
Oh, wow.
But they never got the money back. They never sent the money that they didn't use back.
There you go.
So because there's only one person that's gonna hold you accountable, and it may take years for them to do so, because by the time they realize you closed down and nobody got the money back, you see, in the facing like Medicaid fraud. It may take years. That's because it's not enough people to hold the flow of money to accountability status and be able to track it in time.
Yeah, so not enough people doing the right work, in other words. Okay, now, of course, it takes re-educating the community also.
Yes.
Because after all, we are standing right now at the highest economic capacity ever, right? As people of color, we are at the highest economic capacity ever, and we're doing less than those that came before us did. Okay, so let's get now into the groundwork, into the community. What exactly can we do to fix that? Or what should be some of the steps on this re-education of the community?
Education is the most powerful tool in our disposal. And the reason being is because it's the most fluid and the easiest to update. In World War I, you had certain airplanes and tanks that you cannot fight in World War II. Bayonets and donkeys and horses. Those weapons will not be effective in the progressive wars. It's a different type of warfare now. The level of misinformation that's being thrown at us, the tactics that's being used by the enemy to keep us divided, to keep us separated, and to keep us in silos. But the number one thing is education and community, unity and community. Any united front could bring down any system. So first and foremost, we have to put our differences aside and get from under these titles and labels. The enemy has been successful in using certain words to demonize them and make us afraid, whether it's DEI, whether it's the word woke, whether it's Muslim, Islam, Christianity, Baptist, black, white, all these titles. But what we get from is either a child of God, or B, an American. If we could come together on that premise first, then we've already started our victory. The second thing is accurate information in a nonpartisan way. Whether you're liberal, progressive, or conservative, I'm not going to argue with you back and forth on my view versus yours. Everyone has an opinion, but we need to identify the facts. It was a cold tactic when they introduced the term alternative facts. That spirit was introduced into our mind that the truth is not the only truth. And that is the most asinine spirit that exists in today that we must rebuke. So we must get together, not just in information of what we're saying, but we have to show it. We have to display it. And we have to meet people where they are. We have social media these days, but we have a swath of the demographics that don't get their information from social media. Our elders don't understand certain technologies, but nobody's going to those communities until it's time to get their vote. This is a continuous process and effort to get the resources to them, the information, and to get somebody that's relatable to them, that's not talking at them, but talking to them, and not just dropping the information and leaving, but following up. And holding their hand through the process, because the biggest communication is trust and proven record. When they see and it's proven and it makes them feel a certain way, or they see the results, they buy into it. So we have to get the correct information, the buy-in. I call it facilitate, educate, acclimate, and activate. And we have to stick to that premise to be able to win this war. And we could do it, win, lose, or draw.
Indeed.
So it's about coming together, no matter where you're from.
Indeed. But I'm going to ask you to repeat that again, because some people listen slow, and we want to make sure that they can definitely hear and understand what you say. Please.
Facilitate, educate, acclimate, then activate. Facilitate the infrastructure. Real leadership is not about necessarily the leader. It's the system that you build for other leaders to operate effectively within, right? Then we educate. We educate the problems, but also the solutions. And then we have metrics and goals that must be attainable to track our progress. And then we educate. Excuse me. What did I say? I'm confused. My own self.
You went facilitate.
Yes.
Yeah, educate.
And so then we acclimate. Acclimate is where we bring everybody into the fold. Republican, Democrat, conservative, whatever religion, whatever it is, somebody has a skin in this game, because we're going to have this pendulum that goes back and forth that must get stopped. We must bring everybody to the table. I'm a chef, which means that I cook for everyone that sits at the table. And we got one common goal, that when you rise, you're full. But everybody has a different dish, pertaining to your dietary needs.
Yes.
And then after that, then we activate. What's the call to action? Just vote. Vote, and then what?
Right.
What's after the vote? Because you're voting for popularity. You're voting for who you know, who you like, who's your soror, who's your frat brother. But then there's no accountability. And then you've been told false goods at surface level, because, oh, this is what I did, but you're not verifying and checking. So we have to demand more. We deserve more. Right. You deserve more. Yeah. But we have to educate the public to expect and get that power back into their hands versus that politician that's in office.
There you go. So let's go ahead and take a very quick break and take a look at any images that has to do with the candidacy and of course the race that you are currently running on, because after all, we deserve to show that. And this is the kind of show. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Rob Slater, founder and owner of Slate Table and Bar. Join me at Slate Table and Bar, where we stay on cloud wine. Slate is a culinary art house. It is an Italian fusion concept where it's Italian classics that has international inspirations, if you will. For instance, we have like elote ravioli. We have banh mi pizza. We have gumbo pizza. We also have American staples like red fish, but chicken fried red fish, because in my household growing up, everything was chicken fried. But I say culinary art house because when you come in, we want you to think it's an art gallery. If you order a pizza from us to go, myself or Chef Jason, who's the culinary director, we personally sign the box and we leave a message like an artist would their paint.
And we are back. If you just joined us, you're now tuned into Diaspora Central Spotlight. And of course, today we have the core of this community right here, Houston, Texas. Stand up, because one of the individuals that will represent District 18th is in the building.
Yes, thank you,
Mr. Rob Slater. And you didn't come by yourself.
Never do.
Yeah. It's like you came in with, of course, Miss Kimberlene.
Yes.
Yeah. Community is advocate number one.
All right.
Indeed. Now, educating the community. Right. And we talk, of course, when we talk about education, we're talking it in a very generic form, but you brought up something very interesting.
Yes.
Technology is now in place, social media. Information, disinformation, misinformation,
right,
to use political terms, are things now that are very vulgar, normal, on a daily. They're out there.
Yes.
But there's no one going behind that, doing the work of actually contacting those individuals that may not be so savvy or so educated to know and understand that what they're looking at is not what the real thing is.
Right.
Now, Kimberlene, looks like you have a platform in place that may be the beginning of that re-education process.
Right. I came up in the era of I'm Just a Bill, Schoolhouse Rock, Conjunction Junction, all of those things. The campaign kickback is that it ignites and undergirds small businesses, which is the heart and soul of America. Mm-hmm. Without small businesses, there would be a vast divide between the wealthy and the poor.
Right.
So I come along to advocate for them and to bring awareness to their businesses first. But second of all, it's a soft civic engagement platform. It's bipartisan.
Okay.
It's not a platform where I'm endorsing anybody's candidacy, race. It's really a platform where they can talk about their experience, what they bring to the offices that they want to, or they do, or they formally represented. But most importantly, it's a platform to know what those positions do. What is a state rep? What is your job? We cannot hold somebody accountable if we don't know what that office to the full extent of what it does, you know. And it's to dispel the myth that they don't work together.
Okay.
You know, being out in the community, all we get is the talking points of defeat Trump or defeat the Republican or down with the Democrats. Particularly, the one that gets under my skin is when somebody goes free on bail, the judges are attacked when their position really is to look at the letter of the law and follow that. Now, if you want that change, then you need to go to your state representative to say, we need to change this. But if you don't understand that, we will hear things in the media. For instance, the young man that killed his high school rival. They were attacking the judge who gave him a bond. All she did was follow what was legislation that's law. We cannot misappropriate how that's done just because we don't like the act or the skin color of the person who committed these acts. You know, so this platform is designed to educate us softly in a fun, relaxing environment, to come together as community, to eat together, to support a small business, and to walk away educated on all cylinders, because without that education, it's lost.
Yeah. No,
And
Mr.
to,
Rob
and to
Slater.
add to her, well, we are developing in beta form right now a Congressional District 18 mobile app.
Okay.
And what this app will entail, and if you're in the zip code, anybody could join it, but it's really for the constituents. But it's to identify all of the jobs that's available, resources, grants, funding, training, events, so on and so forth. Really just one hub, a trusted hub that the community go to, that they get all their needs in one place. But mostly importantly is that in time of emergencies, when we have a natural disaster, or there's a flood or a prom or something that's happening in Acres Homes or Fifth Ward, we'll have an interactive map on there that identify those hot zones to stay away from, those flood zones. But most importantly also, if you yourself are in trouble, you could put a SOS button, and our community emergency response teams can respond. So it's an app that we're trying to go above and beyond of a one-stop hub, because that is one of the things also. Where do you get your information from? We used to have phone books and 411 and things like that. Now it's social media, it's a neighbor, but neighborhoods aren't as intact as they used to be. So creating those platforms is key. And as Ms. Kim said with her initiative with the campaign kickback, I applaud her, because it brings information and candidates to the forefront that you normally wouldn't hear. There is active forces out there telling you who to vote for, who to look for, who not to vote for. We have, without being slanderous, there is a newspaper in this city that has been paid not to cover our campaign. There is a television network that has been paid not to cover our campaign. And we take the punches and roll with it. And though there's over 20-something candidates rolling for this race, and everybody's upset with how many candidates there are, well, I'm behooved. When have options become a problem?
Right.
When you're courting a significant other and you have options to date, is that a problem? We all want options and know who the best choice is, regardless. And so there are candidates that is qualified. They may not have the funding, the resources, or the name recognition, but Jesus didn't either, respectfully. So the opportunities that she's given, that's a nonpartisan way to the platform, it's what the community needs, and we need to tap into that and support it.
Indeed. So getting back into the grassroots looks like it is.
It is.
Right.
And like I said, the system is in a shift on all cylinders, all the 7 mountains: religion, politics. It's being deconstructed and built back up. The civil wars, the world wars, all of those things were about toppling a system and rebuilding in a way for the next move. And that's why this educational piece is important. The tagline for my organization is empowering the mind to accept change. And education does that. And I'm empowering you by giving you information that you can receive on whatever level you're on. When I worked in oil and gas, one of the jobs I did was I started up projects. And the projects were the same. The projects were the same. That's the funny thing. The projects were the same. And I would get frustrated because every time I went to a new project, I would ask, where are the lessons learned from the old project? Because we're continually somebody shows up and their things are not ready. They're not ready to acclimate. They're not ready to work. And so I created a system, I called it the airport, where I could see everybody who dropped the ball. If the admin did not order, if HR did not tell the admin that this person was coming in 3 weeks, the equipment's not ordered. And now you can't point blame. I like the system he talked about because it gives transparency in a way where nobody who systematically dropped the ball can hide anymore.
Indeed.
That's what my system did. It was a landing place. And we saw who didn't do their job.
And where it was broken down to.
There
He's
you
about
go.
to get into grassroots.
Yeah.
What are you about to say?
Grassroots. Yeah. And And now you know why the hood is not the ghetto.
That's a throwback.
Right.
Listen to the other episodes and you get
Right.
it.
The hood is not the ghetto.
Not the same.
Yeah, redefined. Honestly, it's like talking about grassroots, for instance, from a perspective of a candidate. Of course, you're supporting initiatives such as the kickback.
Yes, campaign
The
kickback.
campaign kickback, which is non-partisan, but when it comes to educating really those individuals that may not have the ability to probably go out there into the community, maybe at home, what systems are you putting in place? What are you thinking? Where are you going? How are you doing it?
Yeah, so grassroots is, by the grace of God, it's the only path forward for us. And let me be clear in saying, I know the team get upset when I said that I'm not a politician. I'm a community advocate that's in politics. And win, lose, or draw, this race and this seat is just a part of it, but it's not the end goal. It's not the mission. It's just the beginning. And so the grassroots for us is to go to the closest doorstep, to the footprint, to the individual, as close as possible, and grab them. Not unload and talk at them, but grab them into a system where information is nonpartisan, is factually based, is beneficial, and then they could get the tools that they need to be successful. We got us as a community. When the freed slaves from Galveston marched up into community, they didn't have government supporting them. When all slaves was free, they didn't have the supporting infrastructure and so on and so forth. They created themselves. We've built wealth in Tulsa and so on and so forth when we really depended on ourselves and aligned. The enemy wants us separated. They want us to think that some of us is a part of the culture, but we're not a part of the community. They want us to forget a lot. And when we talk about the term grassroots, a lot of our grass and our roots are on contaminated lands. So we have to go back to the source and get it back on fertile lands and rebuild this process of reinstilling who you are as a minority, as a person, as an American, or regardless of your race. You're a decent human being. You was created to have decency. God said, love thy neighbor. That's the biggest commandment. And we've gotten so far away from that. So to the point that you say is that I'm a faith-based man, and I believe that when they separated church and state, that was to keep the government out of the faith. It wasn't meant to keep the faith out of the government. And so Washington, D.C. needs someone that is enamored and armored with the word of God, but also the power of the community by any means necessary. And so we're ready to fight and take that war there, and that's what we stand on.
Indeed. And that's
For me, when I look at grassroots, here's what I like about Rob. I don't publicly endorse anybody because my vote is still private. I think that they are trying to take the vote and make it public and shame you for not siding with particular individuals, right? Number one. Number two, I like about Rob, I am about 16 years older than Rob, could be considered an elder. He calls me really at 2 in the morning to pull on me. I'm up now, but he'll call me, and I like that he asks questions. For instance, for an example, we were coming from a church service yesterday, and I had left ahead of him. And I called him and said, hey, have you left the parking lot? He was just leaving. I said, which way are you going? He told me. I said, turn around. Don't go that way. That area tends to flood. Let me tell you how to get around the service roads that flood. He's taking that information and putting it into an app for those that are coming behind him. That's what he's talking about,
sharing.
that app, the sharing, where the waters are, where's the safe zones. I, as an elder, I didn't have an app, but I know my city. So I can say, don't go this way. It's water here. Traffic's going to stack up this way. Let me tell you where to go. And I stayed on the phone. Yeah, turn here. Okay, go down this street. That's information that he's pulling from somebody. I am not techie. Technology, I used to be on top of it. it's changed so much.
Right.
I am who he's speaking of.
Right.
Social media, I have to force myself to post or get on social media because it's so much information. We as elders, we share information. Somebody has to say, take that down because that hasn't been fact checked.
Right.
Well, shoot, we don't know. You know what I mean? We just don't know. It's so much.
Right.
And so it's the pulling from the elders,
Indeed.
the listening, because sometimes I'm fiery.
Right.
And he doesn't run away from the fiery. He'll just be like, okay, calm down, calm down. He knows how to speak to and still honor individuals who are his elders or even his peers and colleagues. He knows how to hold them accountable without making them feel bad for who they are and a stance.
There you go.
I hear the young people say, I am not my ancestors.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. The job is you're not doing your job, which is taking from your ancestors and then taking it and making it relevant for this period. You're dishonoring your ancestors and your elders with that type of conversation.
Right.
And he doesn't do that.
Okay.
You
Indeed. So, Rob, what the community can do in order to facilitate your campaign?
What you could do to facilitate the campaign?
Give some money. We like volunteers, or he likes volunteers. He doesn't ask for money, so I'm saying it. Give some money. Get something. If you print up stuff, typeset, print stuff up.
Yeah.
He needs some yard signs. And again, this is not an endorsement. This is me saying, listen, Carisha, when he had to kick back this week, he invited his opponents.
Right.
I said the same thing to them. She needs some yard signs. He needs some yard signs.
Right.
If you guys like what he's saying and you're clapping, give $5.
There you go.
You give your cricket pastor 10.
Yeah.
And he got 2 wives.
She getting fiery now.
Yeah, she getting fired. Calm down. Stand down.
Get some money.
Yeah, listen. You could visit us at standwithslater.com. That's standwithslater.com on all social media platforms.
Donate.
As well as the website. Yes. We have
Some
we have
money.
been blessed by the divine to be competitive in this race.
Indeed.
I said all the time, and this is not a rally cry. The enemy, the forces are against us. For us not to be such a threat, we have been blackballed in more ways than you can see. So, it does take funds, but as well as any type of support. If there's like and share our message, follow us on social media and share everything possible. We've just announced some major programs today. We don't have ideas. We have actual plans and policies. We've been in Washington, D.C. 4 times since announcing.
Right.
We have partners right now that's sitting, Republican and Democrat, that's waiting for us on day one.
There you go.
The Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the esteemed organization that Dr. Martin Luther King founded that walked across the Zelma Bridge, those are my partners. That is what is behind us. So we have the stock. We have economists on our team. We have policies that's ready to go on day one, and we need every support that we need. So as Ms. Kim said, yes, yard signs, volunteers, invite us to your church. The IRS just came out with a rule change where a church will not lose their tax exempt status if they endorse a candidate. So now churches can endorse candidates.
Okay.
So tell your pastor to tell your deacon board and to tell the first lady to invite us in. Okay. We are a faith-based campaign, but grassroots supported and community driven. So any support that you can give, go to standwithslater.com. Please give it, join our newsletter, and just mostly spread the word. Let people know about it. We're just here to spread the word as much as possible where we could go.
Indeed. And if you forgot any of the addresses or locations that he has actually mentioned, you know that you can always come to diasporacentral.net, and there also you can find information about the
Life Touch Community,
which is the organization that puts together the
Campaign Kickback.
Now, nonpartisan initiative to highlight all of the candidates running for political positions or for community positions. Remember, you don't necessarily need to win the seat, but you need to be engaged in your community and be accountable for your engagement. So until next time.
Gil, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
We go till next time. I'm so sorry.
Please go on.
I want to say one other thing.
Yes, sir.
We have an organization called the Culture Commission Coalition.
Okay.
Culturecommission.org is an advocacy organization. We represent cases on a national level.
Okay.
We have 4 right now. We're fighting an injustice case right now against the city of Dallas that tased a young man point blank range because they accused him of having drugs and he never did. We're taking on the Southwest Airlines and the Dallas Police Department. We're representing a young lady out of Connecticut that was sexually assaulted, and when her attackers ran, she chased him and shot at him, and she got arrested. So social injustice is not something that we're just talking about. We're doing the work right now. So the culturecommission.org, you can follow us there outside of the candidacy, and that's, win, lose, or draw. That is what we're about. So I just want to plug that real quick.
All right. We definitely appreciate it because it's still part of the community.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're here for, to ensure that our community is aware of what's going on out there. For, of course, with the diaspora community, there are things that apply to us because we are part of this community also. So do not exempt yourself. Ensure to stay in the game. Until next time, peace.